he's going to deny it. Like if you went to Rush Limbaugh and Ann Coulter and suggested perhaps that the world was round and that it was not the center of the universe, and America was not the center of that center of the universe, that they would deny that too. But you know, enough said about that. So, and okay, to get serious now. Oh, by the way, just on the line, teach your grandmother to suck eggs is from the Boys and I one of our favorite westerns, The Big Country, with Gregory Peck and Gene Simmons and Charlton Heston and Carol Baker and Alfonso Bedoya and Charles Bickford and Burl Ives, who won an Academy Award as the Best Supporting Actor, with a great score by Jerome Morris, a classic. And you know, and that line comes when Gregory Peck has to ride alone with his trusty companion Alfonso Bedoya into Blanco Canyon to confront, to have a duel with, to save Gene Simmons, the schoolmarm who's become the apple of his eye. She was kidnapped by Chuck Connors, the son of Burl Ives, and they're going to fight a duel over Gene Simmons, and he doesn't have a six-gun. Gregory Peck, he never packs irons, but he has a set of dueling pistols that he inherited from his grandfather, and which he presented to Charles Bickford as a wedding, but that wedding's off. And so he says, how about these? And Burl Ives says, wow, these are mighty fine. And he said, we could use these. And he says, sure, that'll do. And then he says, you know, I could load them for you if you like. And Burl Ives says, teach your grandma to suck eggs. I've been handling weapons like these since you were knee breeches. And anyway, he wins the duel, not by killing Chuck Connors, but by proving he was a coward. Burl Ives actually has to shoot his own son, and Gregory Peck and Gene Simmons and Alfonso Bedoya ride off into the sunset. And you know how we feel about women. Well, Gene Simmons is our all-time favorite. I mean, did you ever see that scene in the Havana dance hall with her and Marlon Brando as Sky Masterson? I mean, that's the sexiest scene I've ever seen. And what a right arm she's got. She don't throw like no girl. You know, I'm really nervous, guys. Anyway, enough about that. Now, to get serious, one thing I wanted to make absolutely sure, it's obvious that we're pro Barack Obama, not so pro Hillary Clinton. And this has nothing to do with the fact that she is a strong, powerful, forceful woman, intelligent, because who inspires fear and loathing in men. My GP is a strong, powerful, intelligent woman, and I have nothing but respect and admiration for her. So is my dentist and my sisters, Maggie and Julie and Louise, Mary, and my mom, who's no longer with us, and all of the women that we spoke of in our conversation together, Michelle Obama and Nancy Pelosi, Samantha Powers, and Maureen Dowd, and Dana Bash, and Carolyn Kennedy, and just across the political divide, of course, Peggy Noonan, and Monica Crowley from the McLaughlin group. They've gone off the deep end. Anyway, that is not the case. If I had to choose one thing from a list of many that really annoys me or turns me off about Hillary Clinton, it would be her lack of common courtesy. But which brings me to a broader issue that I want to address, and that's the campaign itself. Now, I prior to the campaign, my introduction to the campaign at the Iowa caucus, I hadn't thought about Hillary Clinton for years. not since her days in the White House, and I wasn't familiar at all with Barack Obama. I'd heard of him, and I knew he was a rising star, and I knew he was elected as senator. And I saw a brief interview, a part of an interview he gave with Charlie Rose, and he talked about his books. And I've been meaning to get a hold of them, but I can't afford to buy books, and our library's been on strike for the last 6 months. So anyway, so it was only then that I got interested, and I've been observing the campaign ever since. Now, it is my contention, and believe, wait a minute, just before I go on, I know Justin and I's opinion doesn't amount to a hill of beans, and nobody really cares what we have to say about anything, let alone, one of the most important political events in the American, calendar. But that hasn't stopped us, obviously, and I got to say to Americans, Canadians are not like your stereotypical idea of us, stereotypical idea of us. We're not like little polite Casper milquetoasts who will apologize at the drop of a hat for somebody stepping on our own foot. No, we're more like a couple of our national symbols. The loon, from which our coin, the loonie, gets its name. Sort of a mournful cry breaking through the early morning mist, hoping that someone's listening, even if it's only another loon, but doubting it very much. And the beaver, who just puts his head down and goes to work, and he doesn't give a damn what anybody thinks about him. He chops down a tree, gnaws through a trunk and cuts down the tree and hauls that log builds that dam and constructs that lodge, and he just keeps going. And that's what we're like, beavers. And we can't help being involved in America because we live so close to the border. Most of us live 50 miles from the border, within 50 miles of the border, and we're inundated by everything American. Sports, in my case, I'm a great fan of American sports, especially anything involving a Detroit team, because I must confess I did spend a few years in Rochester, Michigan when I was a kid, and that's where I developed. And when I moved from London, Ontario to Rochester, Michigan, it just felt, I didn't feel like I was moving to another country. I just felt like I was moving to another suburb. And the only thing, I was pretty obtuse, the only thing I cared about was throwing a baseball through a brick wall, but I enjoyed my time there. And I have the minority opinion, it's pretty naive, that North America, Canada, the United States, and Mexico would be far better off without the borders if we were all one big United States of America, which will never happen, of course. And so anyway, back to the campaign. It is my contention that as a candidate runs for office, so shall he govern in office. And that you can tell, and especially in a protracted, long involved campaign like the one between Mrs. Clinton and Barack Obama, you can see, you can tell a lot by both how the candidates respond to the media, how they respond to stress, how they respond to setbacks, how they respond to and how they respond to each other. And of course there's all the other things that are going around as you become more familiar with them as the campaign goes along, their network on the ground, and how they use modern communication devices, and how they campaign for money. Oh, just speaking of campaigning for money, something's really bugging me. Obviously, Barack Obama is more successful these days than Hillary Clinton, although Hillary Clinton, when this whole thing, she's been running for president for the last 8 years and had total control of the money-making machine, the Democratic money-making machine, but now I don't know what she did with it. She's every time that